Okay, so no trade zone here because obviously the two pivots that we have, target one can be this current pivot at 767. As long as stay below the VWAP, be okay to look for sells. If we trade above the VWAP, overnight highs in general could be a target that we can go for, and then obviously the higher time frame pivot levels as well. But right now, I'm not really seeing too many no trade zones in like the general vicinity where price is at currently, which is good. Does make things a little bit easier. So we'll go down to the 1 minute. Like I said, if we can stay below the VWAP, I would like that. I do want to see what the opening range kind of looks like. We may take a trade before that, who knows? But for right now, we're just gonna wait. Okay. We're just gonna go from there. Whoops. All right, and I need to share the YouTube link real quick. Alrighty. All right, and we're good to go. Now we're just I'm going to mark out. Obviously, I'm going to be taking trades on NinjaTrader, but I am obviously going to still mark out like the trades themselves of where we're entering and all that, so you guys know. Where am I queue? Okay, I can actually clear this for now. There we go. All right, and we'll go from there. So, like I said, I'm just gonna be marking out the entries that we're gonna be taking here, but I'm actually gonna try and take them on NinjaTrader. Which, if you are using NinjaTrader, but you do want to use TradingView as a charting platform, that's how you're gonna end up doing it anyways. Okay. Ultimately, like I said, just first couple days, I'm just gonna be teaching you guys, showing you guys the entries, the different ways to do it, that type of stuff. Because obviously it's only day 2 of the boot camp, and then going forward, even for YouTube, for the YouTube stream, and everybody on YouTube, like it's not something to follow along blindly. It never will be. Okay. The goal is to show you and give you guys live examples on how to basically properly use the system that we teach. Right. That's all there is to it. Right. We're not here to give you guys signals or anything like that. It's to teach you how I use the system, how you can implement the system in different ways, and ultimately, at the end of the day, you guys are all going to find your own way of trading it realistically, right? So again, we're just gonna look. I'm gonna show you guys the entries or the different entry parameters that we could take. Obviously, I'm gonna mark out the pivot levels, so we also have that here on this chart as well. Okay, so we're not like always too zoomed in at all times. It's always good to kind of zoom out every now and then, especially once you're looking for entries. But like I said, we're below VWAP. We're currently forming our opening range on the 5 minute. Range to the downside so far from the bottom of the range to the pivot level is about 40-50 points. So that could be a hard target type of trade, because it's just so close. Like if we do reach that, we probably won't we'll only have our stop loss at break even with the Q line. So, with that being the case, what I like to do is I like to kind of look and see and make sure that the range that we have, because we always trade ranges, right? What's the range from one specific important level to another? If that range isn't, valid size wise to take a trade, then we're not taking a trade, right? Like from the high of the opening range to the VWAP, 20 points. That's it. Essentially going to be a no trade zone, right? Now, if we trade up into this area and then we see something like a breakout trade or like a reversal type breakout trade, which we talk about all the time, I would be willing to take that sell, and the opposing range for the opening range would be one of my many targets, right? But right now, I just want to focus on showing you guys and teaching you guys multiple different entry parameters and criteria that you guys can apply, right? Currently, we have our Q line, and what I'll do is I'll put the Q line here in blue, and I'll make this blue line, and I'll just track the Q line as it's moving to give you guys a visual. Where is oh, here we go. To give you guys a visual of what I mean when I say, track and use your stop loss or use a Q line as your stop loss, right? If you wanted to take a sell right now, by definition, you technically could, right? Your entry levels would either be 840, 850, or 860, right? And then your stop loss would be 870. So depending, obviously, the better risk reward or the higher price you can get for a sell, right? The more premium level of price, the better risk to reward you're going to have, right? Now, again, I normally don't like to practice trading before those first 5 minutes. I think a lot of times it will keep you out of chop. Sometimes you will miss that opening move, and that's okay, right? Because a lot of times there's a lot of seesaw before that opening move even happens. So I want to make sure that, at the end of the day, I'm on the right side of the market with this specific strategy, so I can always trail if it starts to run, right? Like, for example, right, if you wanted to take a sell here, your stop loss would be here, right? And then your first target would be the opposing range, okay? Or the bottom of the range per se, right? And then the following target after that would be the next pivot point, because it's what makes the most sense, right? So like, let's say if you take a sell here, and again, I'm not saying to take a sell, I'm just using this as an example for like entries and stuff, right? If you decide to take a sell, that baby blue line is the same level here with the Q line, or with the system that you see the Q line at, right? If you were to take a sell, your first target would be the low of the range, and then your second target would be the pivot, right? That's what makes the most sense if you were to take a sell. Obviously, if you wanted to have a runner and look to see if price would go lower than that before coming and stop you out in profit, you're more than welcome to do that, right? But right now, right, so like we just formed the opening range. So each opening range has the high, the low, and then it has their midpoint. Where's the midpoint of the opening range? It'll also mark it out with the indicator, but just to give you guys a line here with a gone box, right? That is the 50% of that opening range. If we're trading above it, we can expect to go to the high of the opening range. If we're trading below it, we can expect to go to the low of the opening range, right? So this being an entry could always be a possibility. Again, even going into the market, like again, going 930, you could have found an entry somewhere around here. Remember, what's the goal? The goal is to try and get anywhere between 2 to a max 3 box stop loss, right? If you're taking the entry at 930, right, you're getting a 3 box stop loss minimum, right? If you're taking the entry, or even still at that 930, technically the wick did go slightly higher and got up into the 880, you could have gone to 2 box stop loss, right? And then obviously not waiting for the opening range to form, you would have taken an unnecessary loss due to not being patient, right? But when we're talking about like entry types, entry criteria, right, you have to make the decision if you want to prioritize and weigh this more heavily, or you want to prioritize and weigh this more heavily, right? That's a decision that you guys have to make, because sometimes weighing this more heavily will give you better trades and vice versa, right? But ultimately, there's multiple different ways that you can enter the market with this left panel, as long as you make and wait for those areas of interest that make sense, right? Like for example, if let's say we trade up, you can always plan a trade ahead of time, right? If we trade up, I know I'm not taking this breakout. Why? Because we're trading right into the top of the range and then we have VWAP right here. So what would I wait for instead? I would wait to see if price wants to come up to the top of VWAP or to VWAP or even to the top of the range. And then if we see a rejection, right? Obviously we'll have bricks print above Q line. What will we then see if price came back down? We would see a breakout to the downside, right? So I would look for that type of entry from this area rather than just taking the entry blindly on in a specific zone where, technically the Q line is there, sure, but we don't really have much else holding price down, right? Like we don't have a VWAP, we don't have a pivot level, we don't have a high or low of a range, you know? And so you have multiple different options on how you can do it when it comes to the entries. You could have taken this one. If you were someone who waits for the bounce or like the for example, the green candle, red candle flip, or if you're looking for buys, the red candle, green candle flip, then what you're doing is you're waiting for a red candle to show after hitting either the Q line or coming close to the Q line. Okay, that's another way that you can look for entries. Will you more than likely get not as good of a risk to reward as you would if you were to take like a limit order? So like if this was a limit order right here, when price was down here, you took the limit order for the buy. Yes, right. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to find those 2-box entries or 2-box stop losses with that green candle, red candle flip or the red candle, green candle flip, because if this flipped here, then your entry would be at the flip of that red candle and you'd have a 3-box stop loss, right? But at the same time, obviously, when you're more patient and you do wait for that flip, you're not just waiting. You're not just watching price just go through everything. You're watching it reject as well in real time with the Renko bricks also, you know? So one way that you can enter a trade like this is if you know that you're seeing a green candle, right? And you know that you're waiting for a flip, so a red candle to print, you know where that candle is going to print if it does, right? In this specific case scenario, at first, if we were waiting for it here, it would have printed at 840. So what could we have done? We could have placed a sell stop at 840, right? Price never came back down. Instead, we printed another green candle. So what do we do if we're still waiting for that green red flip? You click and drag that sell stop to 850 because now you know the next candle that flips red, you already know where it's going to close, right? So even with the Renko bricks, you can kind of it'll already give you like that foresight of, okay, where would my entry be to where I don't have to rely on a manual market order, to where instead I could rely on a stop or a limit order, right? Ultimately, you're going to get a better fill when you do that, right? So, with that being the case, in this specific case, that patience would have paid, right? In my specific case, obviously, like I said, you guys know that I very rarely like to trade inside of that opening range. I prefer to let it break out, come back to retest, and then look for a sell. So for me, like this may be a little bit more of a higher probability setup, right? Now, what am I waiting for? If I took this 820, right, which is the highest, that makes sense because at 830, we're inside of the opening range pretty drastically, right? If I took that 850 before this one closed, I would have had a 5-box stop loss. But now I can place a limit order here if I want to at 820, and my stop loss will be 3 boxes or 30 points, right? And that's perfectly fine. I can do that. Then again, where are my targets? To the pivots and beyond, right? If I want to let price come back and retest and then wait for the candle flip, I can do that as well. In this case scenario, see how the Q line moved up a little bit more. Now I can move my stop loss closer. I can keep that 2-box stop loss. Technically, I could keep the 4 or the 1-box, but I don't like taking trades like this. I just don't think that's enough space, right? For that, I would instead do something like this, to where we can possibly get a slightly lower entry right? To where we actually probably would have gone filled on that green candle. We might have not. Let me see. We might have actually gone filled on the green candle if that's where our original limit order was. No, we wouldn't have, right? But this makes sense because what we're using the range, right? We're using the range low as our area of interest to where, okay, we're lining that up with where's our Q line? It's inside of the range. That means where will our stop loss be? Also inside of the range, right? And again, you can also do areas where if you're just waiting for the breakout, you can just take the breakout of the zone, right? Is it going to have less confluence? Is it going to have a bigger stop loss? Yes, right? But ultimately, that's your decision on whether or not you want to take a trade like that. If you want to risk your account or put that much risk or exposure on your account, right? Because remember, when it comes to like a daily basis, like we're just looking for on 10B, maybe 3, 4 boxes. On 5B, we're looking for 5. Can you get a lot more than that in a day? Most definitely, right? But part of the goal of being a trader specifically is not to trade all day, right? If you're a trader because you want to trade all day, then you're gonna get very, very quickly burnt out, right? If you're a trader, the goal of most traders should be to trade the time for money aspect and instead say, okay, I'm going to let my money work for me, right? I'm going to use the money that I have as leverage to make money, whether it's in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 30, an hour, and then I'm going to be done. But there's literally no point of sitting at a computer to trade for 8, 10 hours straight, nonstop. You might as well just work a regular job and make more consistent money without having to worry about anything else, right? Because, just because you spend the time trading does not mean you're going to make money. This is not a time for money gig, you know? So, just to recap, like I said, for here, we just never had that retest, no matter what we did, right? We have a pivot level here. This could be, what do we look for? We have a pivot level where it's already like this tells us the Renko bricks and everything tells us where our entries can be, where our stop loss can be, right? A couple of different scenarios would be if we take 750 and then we have our 2 box stop loss on the opposite end of that pivot, right? If we take 750, I don't know where 750 is. I think it might have placed in a trade. Okay, so 750 would have placed us in that trade here, right? Even though it doesn't show on the Renko bricks, it would show on NinjaTrader, or it's showing on NinjaTrader as a box that was printed, right? But this is another opportunity because what's the commonality between these two right here? We have a level of interest that we're trading through. We're waiting for a retest. Where is that retest entry and everything based off of? And you already have a move that's happening to the downside. Where's that entry based off of? The entry is based off of confluent levels, pivot levels, opening range, VWAP. Right now already we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 box move, 50-point move, and you can be done for the day if you wanted to, right? Or take partials and now your stop loss is up here at 740. This is your stop loss here based by the Q line, right? Q line is currently right here, right? So your stop loss is the first box that closes on the opposite end of that Q line, which is right there, right? And if it keeps moving, you keep trailing, right? Another box prints, look at the Q line, move down, that's where it's at. What's the first box that prints on the above that Q line? What level? 720. Boom. Stop loss is there. Whether you're taking partials or not, right? You have now a 70-point move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with an original 20-point stop loss. So 1 to 3 plus, right? If it keeps going, it keeps going. If we're looking to our left and we're looking for areas of confluence where we're trying to see levels that we can see reversals or bottoming out. We have one here because this is a what's it called? A higher time frame low. You have one here that can be a possibility. Again, there's never a guarantee, but you have one there. You have one here as well. And then you have your pivot levels. And that's where you can take partials at, right? If you so choose. Or just continue to trail. The thing with trailing without taking partials is that when a move happens like this, if it comes back, 40, 50 points, you're missing out on a good chunk of change, right? Especially for prop firms. If you're going to build a prop firm account up, like you have to take partials in a way that secures profits to essentially, what's it called? Like, excuse me, to like adhere or make up for days that maybe you're not seeing price as smoothly or price isn't moving as efficiently, all that type of stuff, right? Like, you have to make sure that you have something to save you from those days that just aren't the greatest days, which there are going to be some. That's just, again, the reality of things, right? But if we're, again, following that same pattern, that same Q line and all that, notice how it flattened out. Our stop loss was here. Price hasn't reached there. This is that 620, 662 level where we could possibly see price reverse from. That could be a target if we're taking partials. The other higher time low could be a target if we're taking partials. What's happening to the Q line? We're starting to expand more. So now the Q line is here at 700.5, right? And when you have it here, when you decide, okay, it's at 700.5, is that 700? No. So where's my stop loss? 710.5, right? Q line moved down again. Now it's where exactly? 680.25. Is that below 680? No. So where's my stop loss? 690, right? And just the entire time, let me go back to the 30-second here. This entire time right here, you're still in this trade. The Q line is telling you, even if this is your final target, or let's say the pivot is your final target, right? I love trading pivot to pivot. If I could get a whole pivot to pivot trade, awesome, right? But this will tell you a legitimate level where, if you do want to trail it, but still give it enough room and be able to, secure partials, you have the ability to, right? And it literally tells you exactly where to put everything. So now your Q line gets moved down 767 or 675, stop loss goes down to 680, right? Remember, increments of 10, whatever your box size is, that's your increments. Oh my God, this thing is messed up. Whatever your box size is, that's basically the increments in which you trail, right? If it prints another box, you're going to see it move further down again. There you go. Now it moved down to 663 on another print. Now it's at 650. Where's your stop loss at? First box of print above 650 would be 660 because it's not below 650. It's 650.5, right? And again, at this point, you're up 120 points with a 140 point run up. That's a challenge pass right there. You're passing a 50K challenge in one trade with that one contract. Because this 140 points is 280. $2,800 on one contract. And we went past that. And there you go. That's where you get stopped out in profit. Right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? So your full risk to reward that you had was a 4.4. And you're done for the day. That's it. You missed this opportunity. You took this one. You got a good run. Even if he took full TP at 3, 4, 5 boxes, you should be happy with that because you entered the market and exited it successfully. And then when we talk about taking like, okay, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? Like at this point, you don't need to get in another trade for one. For two, do we have a breakout? Yes, but at the same time, I mean, it's not of like off of a level of any huge, you know, importance, right? So let me delete stop loss level and where the Q line is for now. It's not a level of any huge importance, right? We traded back into a discounted range, so I'm not surprised that we're seeing some level of, you know, buying up. Because again, remember, when we're talking about premium versus discount, a majority of sellers are going to be in the premium, a majority of buyers are going to be in the discount, right? When you go to sell something, right, you're trying to sell it at the highest price possible. When you're going to buy something, you're trying to buy it for the most discounted rate possible, right? You're not trying to pay extra on purpose for something that you're buying, and you don't want to lose money on something that you're selling. It's market theory. It's literally the same thing. And obviously, we're going to go over that in the bootcamp sessions over the weekend in the coming weeks. But, you know, that's basically it. Like this exact white line is the same one that I marked out earlier with our range, right? You have the premium where a majority of sellers are going to be in control. You have the discount where a majority of buyers are going to be in control within this range, which was formed on that 4-hour chart, right? We traded right into the discount and now we're seeing a rejection. Now we're back in the premium. We zoom in again, right? Looking on the 1 minute. Here on the 1 minute, what are we looking for? What can be already, what can we see forming, right? We have an opening move, right? When we see that move, what do we also see? We see a range being formed. That range being formed, what is inside of the premium range where probably or can see sells happen that we can take a trade off of? What's the one thing, or two things technically, but the most important one, the pivot level, right? So if I know that going in, right, that now we're in a premium of so far all of this morning's price action, what can be an option for an entry? A breakout for a sell off of that pivot level or below VWAP. All we're doing is we're either waiting for a breakout off of the pivot level or maybe even a breakout off the opening range low and the VWAP itself. Maybe those two things line up, right? And we'll know if the market wants to decide to continue this original move. And then when we're coming to targets, right, now you have more current targets. You have this current low that we just created. You have the low that we marked out from earlier, right? And then you also have, again, the discounted range of a higher time frame. So you see how like things start to like line up, right? And again, you're not looking for sells now. You're waiting to see, are we going to get maybe a little bit of a lower entry? Sure, but we're going to be more probable in our sells to the point where it's like instead of just taking a sell and it just ripping against us, right? We're at least waiting for price to see some form of rejection and, you know, reversal based off of our system here. So similar to what we saw here, right? That breakout entry is always going to be the first box that closes outside of this larger step MA. So where's the step MA right now? Right here, right? So obviously if price starts to bounce around a little bit here, the step MA will start to slowly creep up more and more and more to the one point where it's like hopefully we're in like the 710s, the 720s where we take our entry, 2 maybe 3 box stop loss if we're lucky, and then we just ride the continuation if it wants to happen, right? I think the Apex promo ended today too. Yeah, and it was in 2 minutes also. I think the Apex promo ended yesterday. Obviously for the Black Friday deal, if they do have one, which I think they just emailed me about it, I want to see what it is. You said new Apex promo started today. I know. I'm looking for the email for it to see what it is. Oh, here we go. Um, damn, $10 lifetime PA fee is insane for 100K accounts. Ends December 1st. Oh, so that's going for a while. Okay, yeah. So fuck. I'll send that now. I'm gonna try and apply the buy five get one free will still be applied to this one as well for you guys. So if you use code Banksy on when you purchase an evaluation account already, you guys get an entry for the giveaway, which we do every month, right? But now for this month only, we're doing a buy five get free or get one free promotion with my code. That will give you guys as well the what's it called? The entry for the free giveaway at the end of the month too. So like with the free giveaway, no matter what, for each one you buy, you get an entry, and obviously the more evals you purchase, the more entries you have to get the free account. And then with the current, or then with a buy five get one free, the 5 that you purchase to get the 6th one free automatically, those 5 also account towards the giveaway at the end of the month. How much is one account with a discount? With 80% off, the 50K account is about $33, and then it would be $40 for an activation fee once you pass it. For the 25K account, it's obviously less than that. Yeah. Well, the thing about Apex is that they allow up to 20 accounts. So you can, and this is something that we're gonna be teaching in the boot camp for you guys, which is the scaling with prop firms. We're gonna I'm gonna teach you guys how I scale with prop firms from like 0 to 20, specifically with Apex. Because again, they're one of the cheaper ones. they have some of the most social proof for payouts than anybody. And they offer 20 funded accounts that you can get where you can place them all on copy traders. And basically, if you're with 20 accounts, if you're trading and you're, going for $100 a day, which is not much at all, right? You're basically making $2,000 in a day, right? Just for sizing for $100, you know? So yeah, well, to build the buffer, you just have to stay scaled lower. You just have to stay scaled lower and take the time to let it build. But that's natural. Like the buffer, nobody should be expecting to get a payout in the first 8 days of having a funded account, because all that does is just rush the process, and that's why of the very little people that do get to a PA account, 5% of them ever get to their first payout, and that's directly from Apex. You know, because everybody feels the need that they have to get a payout in those first 8 days because they offer eight trading days as a minimum for a payout, and that's not the case. So this is a breakout I was talking earlier. Literally, like played out exactly like I mentioned it. Right, 3 box stop loss. Your breakout was right here. Like this line was there all the way up here. Stop loss is already 2 boxes in profit, and you're already running 60 plus points. That would be your first target, that same discount level that I talked about. Second target could be the low, third target, fourth target. Obviously, you can't to do multiple targets if you have one contract. So, like for those people that trade like one mini, I personally, if I was trading one mini, I'd rather do 10 micros so I can take partials and spread profit and secure profits. Stop loss is now at 710. Now at 700. You're using Q Chronos Shinobi at 2 MNQ, $200 TP. Well, if you're using automation, there's no I don't see a problem there, right? It's just, are you patient enough to let it, like, for example, what is more important to you? Trying to get one single payout as quickly as possible, or being patient to the point where you can get multiple payouts over a long period of time, right? Like, what's more important at the end of the day? If the speed and quickness of getting a payout is more important, then you're naturally going to have to over risk and over leverage, and you're naturally going to lose accounts more often. And that's just how it goes, right? Whether you're using, even if you're using the same exact account or strategy in both scenarios, right? So with that, right, at the end of the day, I don't see an issue personally, right? Jero, I'm just talking to your thing specifically. I don't see an issue, right? Because you have something that's automated that works. All you have to do is just not touch it. Even if it takes 2 months to build a good $3,000, $4,000 buffer on your, or even for your 25K account, even if it takes 2 months to build a good $3,000, $4,000 buffer, right? That is going to set you up in a spot that from now on, you don't need to worry about anything if you can stay consistent with that, right? But you have to be willing to have that patience. You have to be willing to wait the long game, right? And let it play out for you. You have to play your odds. That's what trading is. You're just trading probabilities. How probable is it for you to pass an evaluation in 2 days consistently? Probably pretty improbable, because if you're oversized, right, you're definitely going to have days where one or two trades is going to blow an account. So you're basically going into an account with sizing as if your account doesn't take losses, and or as if your strategy doesn't take losses, and there's no strategy that exists that's like that. Also, by the way, you got stopped in profit here at 6.99, so about a 1 to 6.8. But again, the run up itself was 1 to 3. The first target was a 1 to 2.3. So again, another reason why I like to take partials, because you could have taken partials you could always take partials either at a specific level, at a specific number of boxes that print, or both. It's up to you. Crazy said ATM setup is brilliant. Just made $1,800. Unfortunately, demo, but great learning. Yeah, no, that's the whole point. It's not unfortunate because you're learning how to use the system. So then the only difference is now which account are you applying it to, but you have to learn it first, right? And then once you learn it, going from now demo to a cash account or an evaluation account, there should be absolutely no changes made, right? Because that's what a lot of people do too, is they'll trade an evaluation account and they'll be killing it, but they'll also be following rules without really realizing it. And then they get to their PA account and then they're all of a sudden breaking the rules, and then they're failing their PA accounts. NinjaTrader is higher quality for sure, especially with the ATM strategies, because it'll place your stop loss and trail for you, and if you need to manually adjust it, you can. TradingView can do the same thing, but you can't do it across multiple accounts. And again, the data feed itself for TradingView is just not as good in my opinion. Yeah, the consistency is the number one thing for a lot of people, is that they can't stick to one system for longer than, a couple weeks or a couple months. And they never go through the growing pains of learning and staying with something, even when, it may be struggling a little bit. Like this strategy will struggle. There's going to be days where you'll get chopped up in the morning, right? But the difference is that some people will stop after a certain limit gets hit, whether it's a trade number or dollar amount number, and some people won't, right? And the people that stopped early or on time will then make it up very easily in the next day or two. But the people that don't stop will continue to dig themselves a deeper hole to get out of, to the point where they're either failing their accounts and starting all over, or they're so far down on the account that there's like literally no point to really trade it anymore. Like it's just a waste of time. Canon TV, you just put multiple trades in TradeAvate and set stop loss. Yeah, you can do that in TradeAvate, correct. You can do that in TradeAvate as well. You just put multiple orders. I took 3 A plus entries only, and it's now up $2,200. Hell yeah, brother. Esteban, yeah, I'm gonna cheap eval, but only trading one MNQ. Took 2 good trades up 250, but can't dial in partials this way. Like you can't dial in like how to decide where to take them, or you can't dial in like how to set it up. Or you mean like you need more. Okay, yeah, correct, yeah. Which again is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A good thing is like practice. If you have a buffer or more room, you can do 2 micros too. Yeah, like I said, it takes a little bit of practice. This is another similar entry type right here as what we just saw. The difference between this one is that this one would have started with 2 boxes, right? And you'd already have a 2 box run up. Now, visually speaking, you have even more concrete level you can aim for. Still same, that discounted range, right? Because obviously that's where we might see some rejection because that's where buyers are usually held up at. You have now this low as well for an internal level low, right? And then obviously you're not really moving. Now that these two boxes are printed, you can technically already move your stop loss to a one box stop loss at that point. Really, you don't have much to lose. And two, at the end of the day, you probably would more than likely be done trading already. Like, if this one entered and I got that first trade, I would have been done. Obviously, it didn't. This one entered, I'd be done. I wouldn't even have bothered with the other two. But I just want to show you guys, I'm trying to show you guys multiple different entry criteria or setups that you guys could possibly take. Yeah, sometimes a computer like with like bad Wi-Fi can definitely mess up, I would say. Some people trade on VPSs too. So that would have been a one box stop loss. Again, if you took it. Because why? Even though we start with a two box, the moment that first candle closes, now we have a situation where it's like, okay, well, between these two, what's the first one that closed on the opposite side of the Q line? Now it's this one, right? Because the Q line is at 749.50, so the first box would be 750. Oh, I mean, it could be the laptop. Very well could be the laptop. But coming on 10:30 now, it's about to be 10:15. We did take a lot of good entries, or show a lot of good different entries and different like setups that you guys can take. Um, if is there any questions that you guys might have for anything at all? How long have I been trading? Like 6 years. Um, I developed this strat about like I started it in like late 2024, December ish, and then I started showing it and teaching it in like February. Yeah, so Esteban, 10 box versus 5 box. The different the literally the only difference is just how big each box is point wise. 5 box, you're gonna see a lot more noise. Okay, I would say it's much more advanced. If you're gonna trade it, I would recommend doing so on NinjaTrader because it's just gonna be a better experience, right? So like for the settings, every time that you're choosing your two Q clouds, it's always 20% and 120% of the box size that you're using, right? So 20% of 10 is 2, 120% of 10 is 12, 20% of 5 would be 1, 120% of 5 would be 6, right? So that would be the Q cloud size. You click OK. And then to change the box size, you just go to the chart itself, the 3 buttons, you go to settings, and then right here, obviously traditional, and then you go 5, right? Everything that we go over in the video. So as you can see, 5B is much more active. There's more trades. You are going to be getting into the market sooner, right? When it comes to entries. And you're also going to be securing more profits. But, and I do mean but, you're going to have situations like this where you can much more easily get chopped up. So in the case of 5B, I would live and die by finding confluences in here first. I don't trade inside of the opening range, right? I would be willing to take a 4 box stop loss if I can on 5B, because obviously that's only 20 points. Okay. And then obviously everything else stays the same. You're trailing. So you would have caught, in this case scenario, if you were waiting for the breakout or even the retest, you could have caught a sell somewhere around here. I mean, you would have been stopped in profit at 60 points ish. This could have been another bounce play you could have taken for another sell, another bounce play you could have taken, another bounce play. You have a breakout here. You would have caught that entire move back to the upside. This would have been a loss. This would have been a win, right? This would have been a little bit of both, technically. You could have taken a couple different opportunities for sells here after the pivot, another sell here, a loss or two here, breakout, loss, maybe a loss here, win. The thing with 5B is that you're going to have more trades. You're going to have better risk to reward at times, right? But you're also going to get chopped up less. So you definitely have to have more control, I would say. You'd have to have more control over your emotions as a if you're going to trade 5B. I used to trade 5B. I just think it's too hard for you guys to follow. So I teach you guys on 10B, right? And then you guys can decide to use 5B or stick to 10B. 10B is way more relaxing. Like, you don't even have to think about 10B that much. You go, like, I know a lot of people that did, like, last boot camp. One guy, like, he'd never passed a eval before, if I'm not mistaken, and he just started using 10B, and he would go for 3 boxes a day. That's it. 3 boxes a day, and it took him 2 weeks to pass an evaluation. His first evaluation ever. He literally just goes for 30 points. Whether it's on the first trade, or the second trade was a break even, or maybe a loss or a small loss, and he just goes for 30 points every single day. And he had like a 12 or 13 day win streak. Just 30 points. Whatever dollar amount that was based off of his sizing. And I think he used like either 1 mini or like 5 micros or something. What's the difference between Renko boxes and range candle, like regular candlesticks? Is that what you mean, T? Esteban, gotcha. Yeah, I like 20 point stop with 4 boxes, but yes, I see the benefits on 10 box and 30 points. That's about where I want to live. Yeah, it's like I said, the goal is to find something consistent. If you guys, people can trade this all day. You can go from 935 to 10 or 935 to 1030 and take all the entries. But again, even on 10B, you can get chopped up sometimes, right? Like this is going to happen. So this is the reason why we try and limit ourselves, because if you keep trading, let's say you took this trade and that buy and this sell and then that buy, but then you're like, okay, I'm not done yet. You're up 200 points and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep trading, and you take 6 losses in a row. Like, that's when then it's like, your equity curve, you're doing this, right? And then you see something like that for no reason. That's where greed comes in, I would say. First time I'm trading on demo, 3 trades up $500. I'm happy. Yeah, like I said, you only need a couple of trades a day. If I could go one and done every day, I would. And most times I do. Like, there was a last boot camp, there was an entire like week and a half that the first trade that we took was a winning trade. Like, and I'm talking about like 70 points sometimes. And I was done. We were done with this. We weren't done with the stream because I stayed on and I kept talking, but we were done trading at 9:35 or 9:50. 9:45, 9:50, we were done. Yeah, there's an automated version on TradingView that comes with Elite, and there's an automated version on NinjaTrader. But I would not use the automated version expecting that it would trade the same as us manually. Because when we trade manually, we're using our own discretion. And at the same time, we're also making different entries based off of outside confluence, right? The automated strategy, it'll only be this window. And it will only take buys when everything is green. It will only take sells when everything is red, right? And below the Q line or above the Q line if you're on the NinjaTrader version. But when you find something like this, it's still going to get chopped up, right? But if you go into the Discord, um, there's an Auto Banksy, what's it called? Forum that goes over the Ninja Trader version of the automated strategy for this, and you only need Elite for it. But yeah, for Q Matrix on Trade Evade, is it ESZ5? It's ESZ5, yeah, for Trade Evade. If you're trying to execute through ATS, nothing would change. You would still have to go through the same setup process, but just make sure one thing that a lot of people are still missing sometimes is the alert itself. Like they're not dictating that if it's Quant Link or ATS correctly. But it's ESZ5 for AIM in the S&P 500. But really, really good day today, guys. I think we're gonna cut it there. I think obviously we had a lot of really, really good trades, a lot of really good examples of trades. Tomorrow again is going to be the last live trading stream that we're gonna have. Thursday, obviously, there's going to be no stream at all for bootcamp or YouTube, obviously. Friday is Black Friday, so we're not going to live trade, but we're going to do a stream for bootcamp, and then Saturday we're going to make up Thursday's stream for since we're not doing anything for Thanksgiving. Okay. Um, no, Jero, there's no Elite Bear version because it's not. It's Q Chronos Evo, and Q Chronos Evo itself is an ATS strategy. But yeah, Bear is getting base hits after base hits. Yeah, I'm up 280 on a cash account with just two micros, and then $115 on another cash account with one micro. And then on let me see what I'm up on. Me prep firms. Me prep. Fuck. And then I'm up about $1,500 on my Apex accounts on all of them, on each of them. $1,400. $1,400. So yeah, it's been killing it for sure. Whoops, didn't mean to make it that big. It's been killing it for sure. All right, thanks for today and your explanation about patience. I appreciate it. No problem. Um, Send us Apex info later, please. It's just Code Banksy. Code Banksy will always give you guys the best discount for Apex, and the giveaway will always be something that we do every month, which is randomized. Obviously, the more evaluations you guys purchase, the more entries you get. And then just for this month, we're doing, if you purchase 5 of them, you get a sixth one free at the end of the month as well. So basically, you have a chance to get 2 free evaluations just for purchasing 5. But the sixth one is guaranteed because that's automatic, and that'll be given to you at the end of the month. Um, Bear 6, slippage on TV sucks. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, Ninja Trader is going to be a big difference for is going to make a big difference for the eval algo for Bear specifically because it trades on the 30-second. So do you make a little on your cash accounts? Lower risk with them, and making money through payouts through props? Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I have a larger cash account as well, but I don't really speak too much about that because I think that's a little bit more private. Like if I say I make 280 on a so like the cash account I'm referring to that I made 280 on today started with $1,500 like a month and a half ago. It's at $4,500 now. Just going for like base hits every day. How will you see the giveaway? What do you mean? The giveaway. So the giveaway accounts are sent to you guys directly through Apex, because I can't be provided with your personal information. So what they do is I have like a dedicated guy through Apex where he will go in and he will make a list of all of the people that used the code for the month. And then he'll do a random giveaway generator that they do for whenever they do their own giveaways as well. So I don't have any part in it. So you guys know that it's not like there's no what's it called, favoritism, I would say. Yeah, it's a area. It's a cash account. You can do whatever you want with the cash account. It's not like a prop firm account where you have rules. The only thing you need to meet is just like the margin requirements, basically. But yeah, that's gonna be it for us today, guys. Like I said, I appreciate y'all for joining. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see bootcamp members tomorrow morning, same time. Okay, live stream, live trading. Those of you on YouTube, I will see you guys next Tuesday. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Happy Thanksgiving for you guys on YouTube. Happy Black Friday, obviously. And yeah, aside from that, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Okay, I'll talk to everybody soon. Peace out, y'all.